Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Welcome back to the recap and breakdown. Today we're taking a look at UFC Fight Night. Derek Lewis versus Teixeira, which just took place on Saturday, the 12th of July, 2025, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be starting off with the early prelims, ending with the main card. But first, we are going to take a little bit of time to just talk about something. I am making a new YouTube channel, a new MMA pure channel, which is going to be called BotmfeederMMA. This is also going to be posted on that channel. So what is going on, guys? Welcome. The reason for this is I do believe my algorithm is a little bit messed up. I do have a lot of dead subscribers from a long time ago when I used to post as a kid. So I think the best course of action is to have a second channel, build up that, and then we can kind of switch back to this channel for gaming or like otherwise streaming and other type of content. I do think it's the right way to go. I do think we should try and take a stab at it. I think if I'm going to be trying to do some YouTube in the long term for fun, I think there's a point to try and do it. And I might as well. But other than that, we're going to just move on ahead with the recap and breakdown. Hopefully you guys do enjoy. We are going to be continuing with the 3 uploads a week. I will be getting back to normal schedule. It's just been a bit of a tough time seeing the view count go down and down because the subscribers do not click on the video right away. Hopefully with this, we fix that issue and start to gain a little bit more traction than we were before. We're going to be starting off with the early prelim opener, which was Fatima Klein versus Melissa Martinez, and we will go on from there. Now, I had Fatima Klein. I did have her by finish. I thought submission was going to be the way to go. Melissa Martinez has not really shown a whole lot of I guess skillmanship in the way of the ground game. She's kind of been a pure striker most of her life. And when you're watching her fight, she doesn't really want to go to the ground whatsoever. She has pretty decent takedown defense, but you have seen her get takedown a couple times in the regional scene. She doesn't really do too well with it. She did only have one loss in her career going into this fight, and that was against Elise Reed inside the UFC. She was undefeated going into this UFC stint, but you have Fatima Klein, who's just a little bit faster, a little bit quicker, a little bit more heavy-handed. She was just coming on very strong in rounds 2 and 3. And, as we got later into the third round, you saw Melissa Martinez starting to dip her head, starting to not get off the center line like she was doing in the first 2 rounds. She was moving very, very well, just not sticking and moving enough to win the rounds. Fatima Klein absolutely put her out with a head kick, some follow-up shots on the ground, and you have Fatima Klein get her first stoppage win. Or actually, no, well, I guess first KO win. She did get a TKO over Victoria Dudakova, but that was more of a ground game scenario where she got stuck and couldn't get up. This was a pure stand-up war, and she was able to get the knockout with a head kick, which was pretty impressive. I'm not going to lie, she threw it up pretty quick. She was baiting Martinez into that side, and she got it done. Fantastic win for Fatima Klein. As a minus 1,000, you'd think she would get it done earlier and, not go over 2.5 rounds. She didn't. But at least we got the pick right. And that leads us into the next one, which was Mike Davis versus Mitch Ramirez. I did talk about Mitch Ramirez being a dog. He is a pretty crazy dog. I'm not going to lie. He took punishment quite well. Mike Davis just relentless. He just kept forcing the pressure. Mike Davis was gassed in the first little half of the second round. Wasn't really throwing a whole lot. Mitch Ramirez trying to throw some stuff towards him. Mike Davis eating the shots well, rolling with them. Wasn't offering Mitch Ramirez a whole lot. It was worrying me a little bit because in the second half of the first round, in the first minute of the second round, he was looking really shitty. It looked like he needed a little bit of a breath after trying to take Mitch Ramirez out in that first, around the 3-minute mark of the first round. Mitch Ramirez was holding his ground pretty well. Didn't back away from the challenge. Took Mike Davis on one-on-one. Was laughing, smiling, having a good time until Mike Davis started throwing those big body shots in round 2. He wasn't laughing a whole lot after that. And that kind of turned it away from a dogfight and turned into Mitch Ramirez running and trying to block himself from shots. The body work of Mike Davis was huge here. Really put out the gas of Mitch Ramirez and really put out the flame. He was handling himself quite well, but the body work was really, really nice, and then started landing up top whenever Mitch Ramirez had to duck low. Mitch Ramirez was stumbling against the cage and just started getting tagged up really, really bad. Got chin, gets dropped, and they stopped the fight. I think it was Jason Hurst? No, Justin Brown. Well, I was lost, but it is what it is. Mike Davis wins by TKO. That is what I had for him anyway. I had him inside distance. I thought Mike Davis was coming out here for at least some type of finish. Last time around fighting Faraz Zaim was tough. being able to choke out Natan Levy is very impressive. Vyacheslav Borshev, we know, is very, very durable. Takes punishment quite well, and I don't think he has a good enough ground game to get Borshev out of there. Mason Jones was able to out-wrestle him, which is absolutely insane. It's a good win for Mike Davis. Puts him back in the column, puts him back in the conversation. Granted, it's against Mitch Ramirez, who's now on his way out of the UFC, has 3 losses. One included in the Contender Series against Carlos Prates, and the other to a leg kick TKO after the first strike of the 3rd round against Thiago Moises. You have Mike Davis at least making himself known, 33 years of age almost by the time he fights next, in his prime, trying to make a little bit of a run at a title. It's not going to happen. He doesn't have the gas to last 3 rounds, it seems, with most of these big strikers. If he fights a guy like Carlos Prates, he's just going to pick him apart until Prates finds the perfect shot and gets him down. I worry for Mike Davis in terms of that. If you get a guy who's just a wrestler and a striker, I think you're going to do good at 155. But when you get to the top 15, you're dealing with a lot of killers. You're dealing with Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier. I mean, granted, he's on his way out. But, you know, Justin Gaethje, now Max Holloway. That's a problem. You're dealing with some fucking problems. And Mike Davis is going to have a tough road ahead of him. Next on the prelims, Walter Walker versus Kennedy Nzetsuku. I had Kennedy Nzetsuku. I thought he was going to be able to have a better stand-up war with Walker than what was shown. Now, Walker did basically do the Ronda Rousey, put his head down, literally like a fucking zombie out of Monsters, Inc., and put his head down and just run forward with his arms out like this, head down, and try to grab Kennedy Nzetsuku. He did end up grabbing him. He did end up wrestling down to the ground. Granted, it was on his back. He had a heel hook locked in, and he gets the submission in less than a minute against Kennedy Nzetsuku, who just couldn't even really get started. He tagged Walker good early, and then immediately fell into the trap that Walker sets. That's the 3rd way I think he's gotten a fucking heel hook in the last 3 fights. He got one with Dante Mays on the ground. He was rolling on the ground with Junior Tafa for the first one, and then Kennedy Nzetsuku just literally falls into one, which was the most ridiculous shit I've ever seen in my life. A fantastic win for Walter Walker. Gets the submission, gets the performance of the night, and beats a guy who, granted, had way better hands than he did, and Walter Walker gets it done somehow. Again, when some guy counters his jiu-jitsu, I don't know what the fuck Walter's going to do, bro. I know he can strike. I know he can handle himself well. I'm interested to see, because I'm really not sure. You have a guy who just basically walked into the UFC and is heel hooking guys at random in fucking heavyweight. He had, what, 1 submission before this? When even was it? He had a rear naked choke for his 2nd fight ever. And this dude's just fucking heel hooking everyone in the UFC. Like, randomly. Okay. Respect. I respect that a shitload. He lost to Lucas Bresky, and he's like, fuck that. That's never happening again. I'm just going to get a secret weapon and just torch these guys. Gets the heel hook and gets it done. Good win. Could have been better, I guess, but I'm just salty that Kennedy Nzetsuku lost, and I lost my bet. Okay, next on the prelims, Eduardo Moura against Lauren Murphy. And Lauren Lucky Murphy almost put Moura out in the 3rd round. She was coming on strong. Arguably could have won that 2nd round. It was a very close fight. Eduardo Moura really should have been able to put on more of a show as a minus 500 favorite. She only won 29-28 on a unanimous scorecard. Lauren Lucky Murphy lays down her gloves inside the octagon, makes it known that this is the end of her UFC and her mixed martial arts career. 23-fight career ended at 16-7. Not too bad, not too shabby for a lady who's 42, and almost beat a prospect. This brings a lot of red flags with Eduardo Moura. It makes it very well known that she cannot last 3 rounds with good strikers. Denise Gomes was able to beat her with a split decision. You have Souza, or Ketlin Souza, who's obviously going to be able to fucking beat the shit out of Moura, and Souza's a fucking 115er. She literally could stand with Moura and probably put her out. This is a problem. Eduardo Moura is not a top 15. Well, maybe she is a top 15 level, but not top 10. She's never going to make it that far. At 125, you got to have something. You got to have a bit of grit. She doesn't have anything. She gets into those late situations. The second half of the 2nd round looked like shit. She's just rushing for a takedown she's not getting, and she's getting tagged up by Lauren Murphy, who's 42 fucking years of age. She's 42, bro. How is this lady beating the shit out of you, and her face looks like a melted potato? She was getting her ass whooped in that 1st round, and Moura couldn't do anything else. She just kept getting tagged up by Murphy when Murphy kept forcing her on the back foot. A fantastic win for Eduardo Moura, I guess, but realistically, I think it's terrible. Like, a lot of people were saying that it was a good win, like, good for her, minus 500 favorite, gets it done with style. What style? There is no style for me. It didn't look good. She won the first round pretty good, and then the second and third looked bad, bro. Against a girl who's 42 making her retirement bout. Yikes. Fucking yikes. Eduarda Moura has a lot to learn, a lot to improve on. I guess she can move on and try and get it together, but at 125, man, you're going to have some fucking problems. And I think those girls are just going to eat her alive. I guess if she's a big favorite like that in her next fight and it's someone better than Lauren Murphy on the feet, I think I'm going with them. Next in the prelims, Jake Matthews versus Chidi Njokuani, and they I'm stuttering. They make my job easy with an early submission victory with Jake Matthews. I had Chidi Njokuani. I really thought in the stand-up war, I thought Chidi's Muay Thai was just going to be so much better. I felt like the range was a huge disadvantage for Jake Matthews. I felt like if it didn't go to the ground, it was going to be a very, very bad time for Jake. And Jake's a guy who likes to force the stand-up. He feels like he's faster than guys. He feels like his head movement's a little bit better, and he feels like he can win on the feet. And this is one of the few UFC fighters that I've ever seen make a change, where they don't just force one issue anymore. Jake Matthews instantly took the advantage of trying to go to the ground and grab Chidi's back. He sunk in a half shitty rear naked choke that was in with like a I don't know, forearm grip. It wasn't even behind the head, and Chidi tried to pull it off. Had Jake to the side, was trying to get rid of their leg lock, and couldn't do it. Ended up giving up the tap with 1 minute and 9 seconds taken off the clock, which is absolutely ridiculous. Now, this is a problem for Chidi because this is starting getting to the part of his career where he can't afford to take these losses. He's 36, almost 37. He's getting out of his prime, and he kind of needs to get these wins now if he's trying to get his, money's worth, trying to fight those high-level contenders, trying to get those big-level names to get him on a pay-per-view card. Unfortunately, didn't get it done. Didn't take a lot of damage, so at least he can fight soon. Jake Matthews, a fantastic win out of Melbourne, Australia. Another Aussie who's trying to make himself known. Granted, this is the kid who lost to Matthew Semmelsberger, and I rate that fucking loss terribly. Matthew Semmelsberger is not even close to what he used to be. And when he got knocked out by Uros Medic, that took a lot off him. I felt like he was really gun-shy after that. Didn't really want to get knocked out by anyone. I mean, Charles Radke knocking him out was pretty sad. It's good for Chidi, I guess, that he got choked out by Jake realistically, because I don't think he's ready to fight those high-level contenders. I think he needs to work on that ground game before he gets something like that. He was able to fend off Reese McKee and Elizio Zaleski, but, most of these guys like to stand up anyway. Jake Matthews, I didn't really think was going to go for the submission, but a good win. A very impressive win for Jake Matthews. I really counted him out in this fight, and he proved me wrong. Now we move on to the featured prelim of the evening. If you guys did enjoy this so far, make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have not already. We had Chris the Action Man Curtis versus Max Griffin. I don't really know how this was a split decision. I thought it was pretty clear that Chris Curtis wins round 2 and 3. Max Griffin pretty clearly wins round 1. Chris Curtis wasn't throwing a whole lot, was just trying to pick his shots, was trying to get Max Griffin on the back foot, trying to get him tired, trying to find that perfect punch to set Max down. Unfortunately, could not find it. He did have Max hurt later in the fight, but Max Griffin is so tough in himself that he just never got put down. He never let himself get hurt to the point where he was going to get down and let the fight get stopped. I really thought Chris Curtis was going to be able to force the action, maybe get a stoppage. Didn't happen, though, unfortunately, but a very impressive round 2 and 3 from Chris Curtis. Did end up outboxing Max Griffin pretty heavily. They had the significant strikes closer than I really felt like they were. It felt like Chris Curtis was just landing the more significant strikes, landing the huge blows that were making Max Griffin actually react. The body shots from Chris Curtis was really nasty. The slip and the very slick boxing rolls and Philly shell work from Chris Curtis is a thing of beauty, really. It's something really fun to watch. I really like watching him every time he fights, especially at welterweight. He's one of those guys that is very fast. Making the drop is probably the best thing he could have done. I think him at welterweight is a huge victory. I like seeing him at that weight class. I think he looks a little bit slicker. I think he does look a little bit slower somehow at 170, but his stick and move still works quite well. He is 38 years of age, getting a little bit older, getting a little into that elder year, especially in the UFC. You're going to be fighting some tough guys, man, especially at welterweight. Fuck. These guys are a little bit rough. I don't know how he's going to deal with it, but at least he gets the win over Max Griffin. It is a shitty win, though, because Max Griffin just lost to Michael Chiesa. Did go to a decision with Michael Morales, which just proves that Max Griffin is a fucking man of steel. This guy does not go down. He ate so many shots. He ate shots for Jeremiah Wells. This guy's got a fucking chin. Very, very impressive. Chris Curtis did almost put him down with those body shots, but didn't happen. Good win for Chris Curtis. Let's go, Action Man. Now we're going to go on next. To start off the main card, we had Tuco Tucos versus Junior Taffa. This is probably one of the most pathetic things I've ever seen in my life. There was 10 seconds left to go in the round for Junior Taffa. He had been in a worse situation earlier in the round, and yet Tuco Tucos puts him in this shitty arm triangle and gets Junior Taffa to tap with 8 seconds left on the clock. He hears the clappers go, and Junior Taffa thinks, I'm not going to just sit here and get choked out for 8 seconds and hold my breath. No, I'm just going to sit here and just tap. Realistically, you probably could have, you would have went out, but I think you would have 8 times out of 10 maybe made it to the bell. Tuco Tucos wins via submission round 2. It was not a very eventful round 1. Junior Taffa was able to get a couple good shots off of on Tuco Tucos, but Tucos just forces the takedown. He's not trying to stand with Junior Taffa, who's absolutely fucking mauling kids at heavyweight. Making the drop down to 205 is very interesting, though. Did look quite good, but clearly did not work on the wrestling whatsoever. Still wanted to just bang, and was able to get up quite a number of times. Did have a little bit better of a gas tank, but Junior Taffa just essentially has no Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu whatsoever. He's a pure brawler, and Tuco Tucos just sat on top of him. Slowly got to submission, and was able to get the win over Junior Taffa, who just made the newly acquainted debut at light heavyweight. Still looked like shit. Still a can. Tuco Tucos, in my opinion, still a can. They're both shit. It was a battle of who's getting cut. Junior Taffa should get cut at this point. 6-4 in his professional MMA career. Came into the UFC, what, 4-0? Has lost 3 out of his last 5. Yeah, it's just, or 4 out of his last 6. There you go. That's fucking good. That's what you need. That's what you need in your life. You need more losses. That's what we need. Yeah, I'm just, no. That's a no. And he used to fight in Glory. Okay, that's, no. That's an, what? And fight who? Some fucking bums in Glory? Like, yeah, obviously. Yeah, absolutely not from Junior Taffa. That's a no from me. Terrible win for Tucos, in my opinion. He's a can. I guess at least he got it via submission. Next on the main card, Vitor Petrino versus Austin Lane. Now, this fucked my parlay pretty good. I had Vitor Petrino under 1.5 rounds by KO. He was sitting at a plus 105. I really felt like Vitor Petrino in this situation. Austin Lane gives up a knockout every single time. He has a bad chin. Even on the ground, he gives up ground and pound. He doesn't do well with right hands. He leaves his chin down or his chin up in the air whenever he throws 1-2s. He kind of leaves his hands down. And Vitor Petrino is a guy who loves corking that one shot. He loves that right cross. He loves that check hook, and he's just looking for it. He's looking for that left hook or the right cross. Just bang, just bang, just bang. Like he's just trying to cross into you whenever you're walking in, or he's just trying to absolutely slump you whenever you're stepping away. But Austin Lane is a guy who's absolutely open for that. So I felt like, okay, knockout. This is going to be pretty easy. No, instead, Austin Lane gets taken down almost instantly, gets shoved into an arm triangle, defends it quite well because he's a heavyweight guy, and Vitor Petrino hasn't submitted a heavyweight guy yet. Oh, instead, switches it to the other side arm triangle, doesn't work, so he's like, fuck it, I'm just going to start ground and pounding. Ground and pounds the shit out of Austin Lane to the point where he gives up his back, and then he just puts in this shitty rear naked choke. Austin Lane fights it off, and then he puts in another shitty rear naked choke, and Austin Lane fucking panics. It literally is worse than the first one, and Austin Lane panicked right into it, got it deeper, and then he's stuck. He's literally stuck in the position where he has to tap. Vitor Petrino had it locked in, and instead of just letting me win my parlay, Austin Lane has to be a piece of shit and tap. This dude needs to lock the fuck in, bro. I think this guy needs to stop being such a fucking loser. He's going to lose his UFC position at this point. Go back to being a fucking a D lineman or whatever the fuck you were. You're giant. Just go back to the NFL, bro. You're not wanted in the UFC anymore. I can't watch you anymore. I just can't. Who'd you beat? Rebels to Spain? That was the fucking saddest shit. That was the craziest can check I've ever seen in my life. Austin Lane was only a plus 275. That's what's crazy. Is that he was barely a bigger underdog than he was against Jonathan Diniz. That meant they knew that Rebels to Spain was ass. They knew it. They literally knew that dude was absolutely butt cheeks. After he fought Waldo Cortez Acosta, they're like, oh my god, Austin Lane's going to beat this dude. And he did. He fucking did. I don't even know how it's possible. Vitor Petrino makes his heavyweight debut, gets one of the worst submissions I've ever seen in my fucking life at heavyweight. And, well, I guess it's heavyweight. I guess it's one of the best submissions I've ever seen at heavyweight, I guess. From Vitor Petrino, it's absolutely terrible. It's one of his worst finishes, I think. Even the fucking one, the arm triangle he got against Marcin Prachnio, that was beautiful. This one, absolutely dog shit. It was terrible. Whatever. Good win for Vitor Petrino. Womp womp, you beat Austin Lane. Good for you. Next to the main card, this one breaks my heart. This one hurts. This one hurts a lot. This one went right to my skull and fucking just turned off. It turned off all my emotions when it happened. Morgan Teixeira against Nate Landwehr. Nate the Train arguably could have won round 1 and 2. I thought it was 1-1, but he could have won both rounds. We're going into the third round. Nate the Train absolutely pumping up from the crowd. He's from Tennessee. He's fighting out of this like he's fucking losing his mind. He is so happy to be here. He's so happy. He was like, I'm pretty sure he's born. Yeah, he's fighting out of Tennessee. He was born in Tennessee. Whatever. Nate was losing his mind. The crowd was chanting for him. He came on strong in that second round. Morgan Teixeira was gassed. He gets really good corner work, though, and his corner screams at him, listen, you need to fucking pick it up. Morgan Teixeira in the first round looked beautiful. Calf kicks took everything away from Nate. In the second round, he was gassed, not really throwing them a whole lot. Nate was landing really, really good shots, landing multiple combination shots. Was leaving himself quite open, though. Was leaving himself open, and he got clipped pretty good against Morgan in the third round. After the good corner work, they told him, you need to get on this kid. You need to force some pressure. You need to start landing. He's leaving himself open. And Nate let himself open with 10 seconds into the round. Gets clipped. He's forced himself back. The crowd starts losing their shit. They're screaming, and Nate's ducking. He's trying to everything. He gets clipped again. He's down on his fucking, and he's going 1, 2, 1, and then he gets fucking snapped, and he's down, and he tries to go for a leg, and they stop it anyway. I mean, I didn't think it was a bad stoppage. Some people were calling it a bad stoppage because he went for the leg. I think Nate was out. I think realistically he was just on autopilot. I think Morgan Teixeira put his lights out. Realistically, I think he did. Nate Landwehr really did have a chance as a plus 200. I think the plus 3.5 would have hit. That is what I bet. I bet Nate Landwehr to cover a round. I did think he would lose 29-28 or arguably win a decision. I did not think this was going to end by knockout. Morgan Teixeira proves me wrong once again. Granted, he has beaten only cans inside of the UFC. Gabriel Miranda, Manolo Zucchini, both making their UFC debut, if I'm not mistaken. He puts out Nate Landwehr. That's unfortunate for me. Nate Landwehr was 7-1 as a UFC underdog. I do believe in every single one of his UFC fights, he has been an underdog. This guy is always told that he's dog shit. He's always told that he's not going to win. He's always told that he's not, he's not good. And he proves everyone wrong every single time. Nate Landwehr almost won this fight out of pure heart. And I would have loved to see it, but unfortunately it did not happen. Morgan Teixeira wins once again by knockout on his record. A very, very impressive win for the French superstar. I mean, he's made himself known out of Cage Warriors, and now he's making himself known inside the UFC, knocking out big names. What a win for the boy. They both win Fight of the Night bonuses. Deserved. We're going to move on next on the main card. Steve Garcia versus Calvin Kattar. Or Calvin Kattar. Yeah. I mean, we already knew how this was going to happen. Calvin Kattar has had a knee problem for a couple of years. He did blow it out against Arnold Allen in 2022. And you can't bet a guy who's 37 years of age who had knee issues in the past. It's just not possible. You're dealing with movement issues. You're dealing with a boxer who can't push off his leg anymore, which is a huge problem for boxers. He can't twist on it properly anymore, which means he's losing rotational power. He's losing thrust. He's losing everything. You have Steve Garcia making himself known as knocking out his last 5 opponents. His last, what? How many wins before this fight? 3, 6, 9. His last 9 wins previous to this, excluding the knockout, or the losses, excuse me. The last 9 wins he had were all by knockout. Were all by finish. He's fighting another boxer. It's not like he's fighting a guy who's going to try and take him down. Steve Garcia is literally fighting himself, just older. Steve Garcia obviously was going to win. He did. He won comfortably on all the judges' scorecards. Calvin Kattar was just kind of getting beaten up. Steve Garcia was looking for the knockout. He was looking for it in the third round. He did have it. I'm pretty sure he dropped Calvin as well, which I haven't seen in a little while. It was close. Steve Garcia arguably was close with it. Did get the decision win. Did make an impression, at least on me. I thought he made an impression on the crowd. He gained a lot of new fans. He is very, very fucking impressive. At 145, this guy's going to be a problem. He did make himself into the top 15. I believe he's number 11, if I'm not mistaken, if not number 14, something around there. He's not top 10 yet, but he will be getting closer. Fantastic win. Showed the hands, showed that he's capable of doing it. He's shown that he's capable of going 3 rounds as well. Hasn't shown the ground game. I would like to see if he's able to ragdoll guys off of himself, which I guess we'll see. Kyle Nelson, I think, was able to take him down early. and then got his ass whooped real quick, if I'm not mistaken. And McQuillan Acosta, I'm sure, did take him down, but he dealt with him accordingly. Now, we're going to move on to the co-main event of the evening. I did think this is a lot closer than a lot of people had it. Gabriel Bonfim against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. If you're talking about damage, I guess you give the second and first round to Gabriel Bonfim. Bonfim was able to control Wonderboy for most of the first round. The second round comes out, and I thought Wonderboy won. I thought it was pretty comfortable. I thought Wonderboy looked pretty fucking good. I thought that first round was even close as well. He comes on that second round, looked like he looked pretty I mean, let me see. Let me see what they had. MMA decisions, Wonderboy. Let me see. We can see what they had. Let's just see. Yeah, see, everyone had 28 Thompson. Yeah, see, round 2 and 3. What I don't understand, right? How can you knock down someone and hold him against the cage and win the round? I don't understand that. How can you... I understand Wonderboy ripped open his shin, right? They went shin to shin or whatever, and he ripped open his shin. Okay, that's a lot of damage. He immediately threw a fucking head kick that landed after that. So clearly he doesn't throw a whole lot of impact. The damage comes right back. Granted, Gabriel Bonfim's not bleeding, but he is taking big damage. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, I thought in rounds 2 and 3 were landing the bigger strikes. I thought he was coming on strong. I thought Gabriel Bonfim after that first round was a little bit tired. Not getting the takedowns. Not getting the things that he wants. Is forced to work a little bit. Wonderboy's out there, you know, throwing good strikes. Making him think. Making Gabriel Bonfim think on his feet. On the back foot. Getting tagged up. You know, never sitting. Never comfortable. Always moving. Always making people guess. Always, you know, 1, 2. Bang, bang. Bang, bang. Kick. Side kick. High kick. You know, side kick. Fucking throw a spinning kick. You know, always something. Leg kick. Leg kick. Leg kick. Side kick. He was throwing it all. I thought he won round 2 and 3. I thought it was quite a big robbery. I thought Wonderboy should have won. I thought it was quite clear. I did not think Gabriel Bonfim deserved a decision, and a split decision is quite disrespectful for a guy like Wonderboy. I thought it should have been clear. 29-28 to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. At 42 years of age, this guy is still a wonderment to watch. This guy's very impressive. I would like to see him fight till 44. If he's this impressive at 42 and a half, I'd love to see him at 43 or 44. If this guy fights lower level competition, Wonderboy will beat the fuck out of them. He will beat the fuck out of them. He just beat, in my opinion, he just beat Gabriel Bonfim. He just put him down to 18-2. He's a fucking contender, bro. This guy's beaten Chaos Williams by choke. Put Chaos Williams out cold. Where Chaos Williams was doing this. Out. Chomping at the air. He's out cold. Got Trey Waters in a Von Flue choke. Choked out Trevin Giles. Got Angelusa by decision. Fucking impressive, dude. Knocked out, lost to Dalby, which is understandable. Dalby's a powerhouse with cardio. But, dude, Wonderboy is a wonderment. Watch out for him. Gabriel Bonfim, I guess you got a good win. It's a shit win. It's a bullshit win, but good for you. I think Wonderboy still deserved it. We'll see him again soon. Now, this goes on to the main event of the evening. If you guys did enjoy this, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you have not already. Derek the Black Beast Lewis versus Teixeira Teixeira. Teixeira was given odds that were absolutely disrespectful. Minus 300 against Derek Lewis, who is a 40-fight veteran, is disrespectful. You're fighting against a guy who's a true fighter against a guy who barely knows what it is. Derek Lewis had more fights probably when this kid was fucking born, okay, than he has now, okay? Derek Lewis in 2010, when this kid was, what, 10 years old? When this kid was 10 years old, Derek Lewis was fighting professionally. Beating the fuck out of people. Beating the shit out of people. When this kid was 13, he was in the UFC knocking people out cold. Teixeira came into the UFC a little bit premature. Beating a Tafa brother does not give you the ability to beat Derek Lewis. That is not how that works. You being 6'7" is not how it works. Granted, I did say my dad is fucking giant. My dad is giant. My dad is 6'8". He's a scary motherfucker. He's a wide motherfucker. I would not want to fight him. I still would not want to fight him. I am not Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis is different. That is the Black Beast we're talking about here. This guy said he wants to go one more round. Who does he want to go with? His wife. Ground and pound, baby. Ground and pound. This guy's different. He's built different. His wife was on stage and fucking smiled. She's like, yeah, I knew he was going to say it. This guy's a fucking badass. Teixeira gets knocked out. Hits Derek Lewis with a really, really good jab. puts the right eye out of commission for at least a little bit there. And Derek Lewis was really, really bothered by it. And then Teixeira kind of just sits in the line of fire, sees that he's hurt, and he's like, I'm just going to sit here while you throw random punches. And then absolutely gets chunked by a left hand, gets dropped, and eats about 1,000 uppercuts. People were saying late stoppage. Teixeira literally used the fence to get up. He used the fence to get up. If they stopped to grab a point, it would have helped him recover. You can't do that. So what are you going to do? You call the fight. He's done it anyway. He wasn't paying attention. He wasn't fighting back. He was eating those shots. Derek Lewis was going to keep throwing their shots too. And Teixeira only turned around when they stopped the fight. As soon as they stopped throwing the punches, that's when Teixeira turned around, because he wasn't getting hit anymore and he wasn't taking brain damage. Derek the Black Beast Blues gets it done by knockout in under a minute. He proves once again to the fans and to the UFC that he's not to be fucked with. He retains his number 9 rank in the UFC heavyweight division. Teixeira moves down 1 ranking down to number 14. And now you're stuck with the heavyweight division with once again not moving whatsoever. Doesn't make a mix-up in the division whatsoever. You have Derek Lewis, who's probably going to make his way back up the division now, going up to probably number 7 or number 6 when he fights someone else. And there you go. That was the first recap and breakdown for the new channel, guys. And if you are on the older channel, again, try and move on over. I will put a link in the description for the new channel. Go on ahead and check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have not already. This has been the recap and breakdown. I will see you guys all tomorrow for the UFC 318 Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier 3, which is coming to you on Saturday the 19th of July 2025. I will be doing that prediction and breakdown tomorrow, Wednesday the 17th of July. I'll talk to you guys all later. Have a fantastic week. Peace.